Hey everybody, guess what time it is? It's time for brisket. We got us a 14 pounder here, USDA prime beef. It's 13.28 pounds, pardon me. It cost me 49 bucks at the Costco, and it was cut and packaged 2 days ago. Now this weekend is Memorial Day weekend, and I'm going to go ahead and smoke this baby because we have a 4-day weekend this week. I'm also going to be doing a pork butt or shoulder, and that will be a separate video, so stay tuned for that one as well. And I plan on cooking this thing probably 14 hours, maybe longer. You're going to see the whole process, but what I'm going to do now is I'm going to unwrap it, take it to the sink, just rinse it off, get all the blood and whatever else from the butchers on there off, pat the thing dry with some paper towels, and then come over here and we're going to dissect it. I'm going to do it a little bit different than I've done in the past. In the past, I usually do the Texas style brisket and keep the whole thing whole. This time I'm going to do something different, which I've never done, and that's separate the two muscles. I'm going to separate the flat from the point. There's a layer of fat in between the two, and I'm going to go through that and fold it open and have two pieces of meat. Okay, I've washed it off, rinsed it, patted it down with the paper towels, dried it all off. Now we're going to go ahead and start trimming it up, and this thing has got a lot of fat on it. But we're going to trim off quite a bit of this. I mean, look at this piece of fat right here. That's just a massive thing of fat. And we're just going to start cutting that away. And you don't want to leave this on there because, like I say, it's nothing but fat. Look at that. I hit a little bit of muscle right there, and that's a good indication that you want to stop cutting. Now, like I said, I haven't cut one up this way before, so we're going to kind of learn as we go. When I get to separating the two halves, I'll go ahead and show that, but for now I'm just going to start trimming up around the edges and find the layer of fat in between the two pieces, which is right here. If you can see that, and we're just going to peel the flat away. Actually, we could probably start it right now. Okay, I got them separated. This is our flat, and this is our tip, or point, however you want to call it. And I'm just going to go ahead and trim up the fat on this. I want to leave about a 1/4 of an inch of fat over this. I'm not going to trim all of the fat cap off. And same with this. We're going to trim the fat on this, and we're going to trim some more of this too, but this big old fat baby right here. Plus we're going to kind of square it up. So let's see, there's a good 3/4 of an inch of fat on this thing right here. You just want to keep working at it. So now I've got the brisket trimmed, and this is the point, the fattier piece of meat out of the two muscles. We're going to inject it now and then rub it. I made an injection for the pork butt that we're going to smoke with this brisket, and I'm going to just use some of that. And all it is purified water, and I put some of my rub in a pan, in a saucepan on the oven, and added a little bit more garlic just so it's got a little more garlic taste. Brought it up to a simmer for 10 minutes, and then shut it off, let it cool off, put it in the fridge overnight. And that's what we're going to use now, is this injection that I made for the pork butt, which is basically my rub with a little more garlic. So that's what we're going to do. So let's do that. Hopefully I don't spill it all over the damn place. I made some garlic flavored olive oil, and I'm just going to put a little bit over on the outside of this just to give it the rub something to stick to, and it'll give it a little better bark on the outside, which everybody loves in a brisket, this to stick. And I've left the fat cap on this, as you can see. I mean, it's only maybe not even a quarter of an inch thick. So now we're going to put my rub. I hope you've all seen my rub video, which I made this myself, and it's really, really good stuff. And I'm not going to go hog wild with the rub on a brisket because I want that beefy flavor. That's all I'm going to rub this. I'm not going to put a thick layer on it. I'm going to let the smoke do its part and make that smoky goodness. And now we're going to do the flat. So this is how the flat turned out. I left most of the fat cap on this. I just trimmed it down so it was like a quarter inch, and I nicked it there, as you can see. Not a big deal. This is where the point was attached up here, so this has less fat on it, and that's still okay. And you can see the grain of the meat runs this way, and some of the silver skin I didn't really care to get off. It's not that big a deal. But we're going to inject this piece. This is a nice piece of meat, and we're just going to go ahead and start pumping some juice into this baby. Better try a different spot. And like I say, we're introducing liquid into the meat so it stays moist. And as always, I always cook with a water pan. That brings me to another point about brisket or any other kind of meat that you're going to cook, is there's about 10,000 different ways to do brisket or any other kind of meat. This just so happens to be the way that I'm doing it this time. So we're going to go ahead and put the rub on this baby. Well, I've got the fire started. I'm starting it with wood this time. I'm not doing charcoal off the bat. I'm going to go ahead and heat the grill up with the wood. And I'm going to use more wood in this cook than charcoal and see how that turns out. Something a little different that I've not done before. But anyway, we're going to let this heat up. And I'm probably going to start a flue of coals to put in it. Like I said, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. When I put the meat on, I'm going to get the flue that's already really hot, put it in with the wood, put a little more wood in it. Try to keep the temperature about 225, maybe 250 at the most. Go get 2-3 hours of sleep, come back, check on it, make sure the fire's, still going. Alright, so the grill's up to temperature with just wood. I've got some coals coming over here, and they're starting to get up to temperature, but we're going to go ahead and put the brisket on. And the flat is barely going to fit on one of these grates. And I mean barely. I'm going to have to scrunch it up a little bit. The point, however, is smaller, and it'll fit on its own pretty easy. So we're doing a pork butt at the same time as we're doing the brisket, and I want to layer them in the vertical smoker a certain way. And the brisket, the pork butt, I'm going to put on the bottom shelf because there's going to be a lot of fat coming out of that, and I don't want it pork drippings on the beef. However, if the beef drips onto the pork, I don't care. Those cuts weren't as good as I was hoping they would be, but that's neither here nor there. So let's go ahead and put these on the grill, and as soon as the coals are ready, I'm going to put those in, and Then I'm going to go get some shut-eye for a couple hours, maybe 3 hours, then come back and check the fire, stoke it up if I need to. You know, it's what you do when you smoke stuff. So I'm going to put the point in first, right on the top. Smoke in the eyes. And I'm going to put the flat just under it. As you can see, I've got my water pan fully loaded. The fire's in there. We're going to go ahead and close this up. I am going to put a probe in one of these two pieces of meat in a couple hours, or when I get back up out of bed, and see what the temperature's at. I want to put the probe in the thinnest piece of meat, probably the flat, because the flat, the thinner piece, will be done sooner than the thicker piece, obviously. And when that happens, I'm going to take it out, wrap it. Well, I'm going to wrap it in foil before that, but I'm going to wrap it in a towel. Let's cook the sons of bitches. So I went ahead and inserted the temperature probe in the flat of the brisket, the smaller, thinner piece of meat. We're going to go ahead and open it up and spritz everything with a little apple cider vinegar just to keep everything moist. Our water pan still got water in it, still going good. So let's do that. You remember before when I talked about hitting the stall, the temperature of the meat, where it goes to a certain temperature and stays there and it won't go any higher? We've hit that. Apparently it's on the brisket it's 144 degrees. Usually it's higher than that. With everything that I've read and other people's videos I've watched, it's like 150, 60 degrees. And that might be because of the altitude we're at here in Utah. We're about 4,500 feet above sea level. But it's been at 144 for like 2 hours. So I'm going to go ahead and pull it off. It's about 10:30, so we're about, what, 7 hours into the cook. And that's a good time to pull it off, wrap it up, and put it back in. And the wrapping, it will help it cook a little quicker and retain moisture, and it'll keep the meat tender. And I don't see a reason why you wouldn't want to wrap something, but there are guys out there that can cook on a pit without wrapping anything and have it turn out awesome. But I'm not one of those guys, so I'm going to wrap it. Let's do that now. Kitty, no. Ooh. Look at that. That looks good. Oh, and it's nice and tender, pliable. That looks really good. The one thing I forgot to do when I wrapped these and put them back in was put some moisture back in with it. And I'm going to go ahead and put some more apple cider vinegar in these and help it keep some moisture. And this is the tip. Some down in the bottom. Okay. I'm gonna hook these back on. Okay, well our brisket's up to 205, and I'm gonna go ahead and pull them off, and just to confirm the temperature, 205. and we're going to rest them for probably a couple of hours. Take out our probe. Here's the point. We're going to wrap these in towels. And like I said, some of you guys, or most of you guys, have seen this done before. Some haven't. We're going to set it in the cooler. And that's where she's going to rest. Ooh, she's already, let's turn that over this way so we're not losing juice. See, the juice is already leaking out of it. Don't spill my Jesus juice. Yeah, I'm sipping some Jesus juice. All the way from the defunct Neverland Ranch, people. So we put them in the cooler. We're gonna go ahead and throw this towel on top of that. These will stay hot in here for 3 hours perhaps. I've done it before. We pulled them out probably 2.5 hours and let them, you know, rest and relax. And they were just absolutely beautiful. So next time you see us, we'll be cutting them up. So the brisket's done. We're gonna go ahead and pull it out of its resting place in the cooler, cut it up, taste it, and we're gonna go in and eat it. Let's do that. There's the first one. It's still really hot. I can feel it through the towel. Oh yeah. And this is the point of the brisket. You can see the nice char around it and the juice, which we want to preserve. Oh, look how tender that is. It's just kind of falling apart. Look at that. The toughest piece of beef that you can get, and it's that tender. Look at that. Wow. Okay, let's cut it. And this is actually where you get your burnt ends from, is this piece, because this is the fattier piece of the brisket. Yeah, that's ready. That is beautiful. Look at that. I just got to decide how to cut the damn thing. Let's do this. That's a little thicker piece than I want. Wow, that is really, really juicy. This is going to be the best brisket I've ever done, people. And I'm not much of a butcher. You can see the slices aren't quite equal, but you know, I've been drinking Jesus juice, so that might have an effect on things.
Look at the ends on that bad boy.
I know. Look at that.
Marbling, beautiful.
Well, let's just look at that. We got a smoke ring around the outside of it, and the inside is really moist and tender. I mean, that is just beautiful. Wow. And Garrett here, my nephew, is going to taste test it for us. I haven't tasted it yet, but he is going to be the guinea pig. And this end is just falling apart.
Oh, wow. We're going to live stream this bad boy on Facebook as well.
Yeah. So, yeah, that is like liquid gold right there. So we're going to pull the flat out now, and we're going to cut it up. This is 10 hours on the smoker. And this is the leaner piece of meat in a brisket, the flat. Oh, ow, that's hot. It's been resting for like almost 4 hours, and it's still that hot. That's why I like this method with wrapping it in the towels and putting it in the cooler, because you can rest it for as long as you want, and it's really, really hot. So, we're gonna go ahead and cut this baby up. Okay. And look at that tenderness. And it's like wanting to fall apart. Yeah, there you've got your really good smoke ring around that. Look at that. You've got your smoke ring around it. A little bit of fat cap. The inside's tender and juicy. We're gonna keep that.
My Lord. I'm getting excited.
Hopefully it tastes as good as it looks, but in my unprofessional opinion, it will. Yeah.
Smells unbelievable.
Yeah, look at that smoke ring. Really nice. The fat cap, the fat didn't render off all the way, but it's gonna provide a really nice flavor for that. Cut of meat. Being pretty much the pectoral muscle of the cow, it's a tough piece of meat, and that's why you have to cook it low and slow. And we're just gonna go ahead and stop right there, and I'm gonna leave that piece. I'm gonna save that for Garrett right there.
We are joined today on this lovely Memorial weekend with my lovely family member, Casey.
Uncle Casey.
Uncle Casey. He is Turbo Magnum on YouTube. His page, all sorts of stuff, helpful hints, tricks around the house, mechanics, and now we have pork brisket.
It's not pork brisket. It's beef brisket.
Beef brisket.
We're gonna do the
Next
pork
we got
later,
pork butt.
but this is beef brisket.
Go ahead and tell us a little bit about what we got going on here, Casey.
I smoked a brisket for the last 10 hours, and this is what we came up with. I injected it, I rubbed it, and it looks awesome. And Garrett is going to taste test this brisket for us live for you guys right now.
Oh my God, I'm so excited.
And we've saved this piece, the end piece, if you can see this.
Oh,
that is just tender, juicy, moist, delicious. And this is all for Garrett.
Beautiful. So he usually does these. He started at 3 a.m. and the marbling, the smoke ring in this thing is absolutely mind-blowing. I'm so excited to taste this. Yeah, I can't even help myself. Let's dive in. Oh my God. It's like chewing on a piece of butter. It is so soft and so tender. This might be the best brisket I've ever had in my entire life, Casey. This is amazing.
That's good.
I want everybody to go over to his YouTube page, follow him, subscribe, smash the hell out of that like button. This is ridiculous. So, you started cooking at 3 a.m., correct?
Right.
How long?
I actually started cooking at midnight.
Oh my God.
I only put the meat in at 3 a.m. I went to bed at 4 a.m. and slept for 3 hours, got up, and started all this stuff. Got to keep the fire going. This is a coal smoke, charcoal and wood, no pellet grill. This is the real deal, people.
Oh my gosh. This is amazing. So, he does a dry rub. It's his own custom blend of spices.
Yeah.
What do you throw in there, brother?
You're going to have to go watch my dry rub video. There's so much in there.
There we
I
go.
can't explain what's in there. You're just going to have to subscribe to my YouTube channel,
Go watch it. We got pork butt coming up, and Garett's going to taste that too. It cooked for 12 hours.
Oh, 12 hours. I am so excited. This is the best brisket I've ever had. Stay tuned. I'll be right back with you when we're tasting the pork butt, and I'm going to enjoy some more of this. Happy Memorial Day. Thank you to
Happy Memorial Day, people.
Thank you to all the men and women who have served our country. Love you. God bless, and cheers. We'll see you soon.
Later.